Just give me the high sign.
What is that? All right, go ahead. What is that?
Hannah, you're good? It's great to be back here in Syracuse, and you know, it's amazing that we can have an in-person press conference that we can alert the media with less than 1 hour's notice, so you can actually ask the questions. But if I were Andrew Cuomo, I would want to be hiding from the media as well, because he has only two choices. When he answers questions, he can either incriminate himself or he can lie. And we know that Andrew Cuomo has chosen to lie every single time. As his nursing home cover-up continues to unravel and his scandals pile up, so do Andrew Cuomo's lies. He's been lying to New Yorkers for well over a year. He lied when he blamed the CDC for his order to put COVID-positive patients back into nursing homes. He lied when he blamed, and he spent months lying over and over again when he was questioned about that same deadly order. He lied about the number of deaths in nursing homes by 50% that order caused. And he continues to lie repeatedly about his reason for hiding that number. The only reason we even have the true number is because of the Attorney General's investigation and report in the lawsuit that Andrew Cuomo lost. We know now that Andrew Cuomo and his team, they knew the actual number of nursing home deaths all along, and it was a cover-up. And just yesterday, the New York Times, not exactly right-wing propaganda, they revealed more evidence showing the depths to which Andrew Cuomo and his team worked to keep that data hidden from both you and the public, the legislature, and the federal government. Andrew Cuomo's aides were engaged in a sustained effort to stop health department officials from releasing data in the midst of the pandemic. Data that was needed not just in New York, but around the country. Data that was useful around the globe. They intervened in the health department's nursing home report. They rewrote it to cover up their deadly mistake. And they released a phony whitewash report to the public that absolved Andrew Cuomo and his team of all of their wrongdoing. Simultaneously, they blocked the release of a scientific paper that health department officials authored that pegged nursing home deaths at 35% of the total COVID death toll in New York. Their phony report put it at 21% of the death toll. A letter to the legislature from Health Commissioner Howard Zucker detailing the death toll was never allowed to be sent. Can you imagine that? This elaborate, premeditated cover-up, it cost New Yorkers' lives, plain and simple. And it's increasingly obvious to anyone with any objectivity that Andrew Cuomo's motive in this cover-up was the $4 million slimy book deal that he cut. The book that he and his taxpayer-funded staff wrote on government time in the middle of a raging pandemic when they shouldn't have had a moment to spare. This book was written on the coffins of 15,000 New York seniors. And it's been more than 3 months since Melissa DeRosa, the governor's top aide, admitted on tape, on a Zoom call, to Democrats in the legislature that they obstructed justice in this cover-up. And everything that we've learned since then has only reinforced the conclusion that Cuomo and his administration are rotten to the core. He's the most corrupt governor in New York's history, and he cannot continue to serve. He's mired in scandal after scandal after scandal, and there's not an ounce of remorse or shame in the governor's actions. He'll never relinquish that power on his own. And his pals in the legislature, and you know, we're here today in central New York, and there's no greater examples in the state than Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli and Senator Rachel May. They continue to protect him. They've done nothing while he's made a mockery of the legislature. He's absolutely made a mockery. Bill Magnarelli repeatedly defends the governor with absurd Cuomo talking points that this is all about politics. And then Magnarelli had the audacity to stand shoulder to shoulder with the governor just the other day here in town. Senator May Well, she was caught on tape complaining that the cover-up of the nursing home deaths made it uncomfortable politically last year as she faced re-election in a tough challenge. And it was only after she got busted making those unfortunate remarks, those crude remarks, that she finally did call for the governor's resignation, which we all knew at that time he was never going to do. He's listened to every Democrat in the state say, "You should resign, sir," and he doesn't care. And they can do and have done nothing about it. These two legislators, Senator May and Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli, they're complicit in Cuomo's corruption, and every single resident of their districts should be outraged by their inaction. The role of the legislature is to serve as a co-equal branch of our state government. They need to hold the executive accountable for his actions and be a curb on his out-of-control powers. But they've proven that they're nothing more than lemmings. They follow him right over the cliff. They're a total embarrassment to the entire nation in the New York State Legislature, who has watched headline after headline of scandal, and they can't figure out how on earth that this governor hasn't been impeached yet. Bill Magnarelli and Rachel May are sending a message to every one of their constituents that Andrew Cuomo is more important than they are, and that their lives, and that the lives of our most vulnerable, our beloved grandmothers and grandfathers, that they didn't matter, and that their deaths don't deserve justice. They'd rather stay nice and cozy in the web of Cuomo's corruption than to do what's right and to do what's just. And I'm here to say shame on them. Shame on Bill Magnarelli. Shame on Rachel May. We are here today because we never gave up fighting for Cuomo's victims. We've never stopped fighting to uncover the truth about the deaths in New York's nursing homes. And when Cuomo called victims' families death cults, we stood up and we kept fighting, while Rachel May and Bill Magnarelli stayed silent. Cuomo must be held accountable, and so too must the people that protect him. And they need to be held accountable next year at the ballot box. And the only way they will act is if they're afraid of losing their own power or their own seats. So I'm urging, citizens of Onondaga County and here in central New York to pick up the phone today and call Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli. His phone number is 315-428-9651. 315-428-9651. Call Bill Magnarelli and tell him how disappointed you are at him standing shoulder to shoulder with this governor. Call Rachel May, 315-478-8745, and tell her how egregious her inaction has been and how her silence is deafening. Make your voice heard too. Tell them you won't stand for the rampant corruption and abuse that they've allowed to go on in Albany. And it's time to break up this corrupt cabal and return power again to the taxpayers of the state. Help is on the way. Our party will elect a Republican governor in 2022 because it's the only way we can truly fix this state. So I thank you for being here, and I'm happy to take any questions from the media.
Are you going around the state this week making similar calls for other Democratic lawmakers?
I will be continuing my travels. I don't have a tour per se. That today I'm in Syracuse, and I felt very strongly, especially seeing Assemblyman Magnarelli. I've been very critical of Senator May on previous visits, but to see Assemblyman Magnarelli stand shoulder to shoulder with the governor just shows what kind of hypocrisy we're dealing here with. So I'll be back here, many times, but we'll be in every, corner of this state, taking similar messages, because there's a lot of people in the legislature that try to have it both ways. They come home and they say, well, maybe the governor should resign, real quietly, or a silent press release. And then they go to Albany and do whatever the hell they want, really. And this governor is, make no mistake, he's in the process of trying to hide in plain sight, make you forget all of the things that have happened. And he thought if he can get through the budget, if he can get through the holiday season, if we can get a month out, if we can get 2 months out, people will forget and we'll get back to normal. And what do you know? We're gaining our rights back that have been trampled on for the last whole year, they just are mysteriously coming back online. It's amazing. Now you don't need a cheese cube with a bottle of beer, and the bars can stay open, to normal hours, because they want you to forget all of the smoke that is smoldering out of the state capitol right now.
So I believe the party recently met with folks who are interested in running for governor next year. What's the timeline for the party either officially designating or maybe just making clear which candidate you want to run? Are you trying to get a head start on 2020?
So that meeting we had was a week ago Monday in Albany. We had our first in-person meeting of county Republican leaders, and our county chair in Onondaga County, Benedict Doran, was with us for that. That meeting functioned as a starter pistol for our gubernatorial selection process. And one of the the items that I ran for chairman on was the need to start this process early. We time and again, we pick our candidate in the winter or the spring of the election year, and what do you know? They don't have the resources to compete. We had to do something different. So we are a year ahead of our previous timelines, and that's exactly what's necessary. And when you look at other states, their politics start to develop on that same kind of timeline. I mean, if you look at the U.S. Senate race in Ohio, it's an open seat. There's probably 7 candidates in the Republican primary at this point, and they're out there raising funds, they're talking about the issues, they're traveling the state, and I think that's what's happening here now. So, as we've kind of called the beginning to the process, you have candidates that are reaching out to party leadership, they're coming, making appearances, visiting different party leaders. It's an internal process at this point. We're going to come back at that in June and try to coalesce around a single candidate for governor. So, we have an embarrassment of riches of excellent candidates, different talents, and we're very impressed with that. We're not going to stop working, and it's the choice of coalescing around a gubernatorial designee will allow us to help flush out the rest of our very important ticket for 2022 and help recruit, I think, a higher caliber of candidate, showing our preparation and our focus on 2022 in 2021. So now, while we can't legally nominate a candidate until probably the end of next February, based on the political calendar, we are going to make a decision essentially in June.
And that'll be a public decision?
We will be,
Yeah.
we will be coalescing. There's county organizations that are already issuing endorsements for candidates, and I expect there's going to be more to come on that. But our party leaders felt that having a 60-day window would allow candidates to travel around to basically audition as to what their campaign would look like, how they would be working with our various local teams. We have a lot of important local elections going on right now. I mean, in many ways, for a county Republican structure, this is the most important year because you have so many, county, town, city races. That I know that's true here. But having both going on at the same time, I think is very important. So we're putting our best foot forward. We're working on this 24/7, and we're going to put the best team together this party's had since 1994. Any other questions?
I have a couple more.
Okay.
So you know that John Katko has lost some support from some local Conservative Party members. Where are you with Representative Katko? Are you still supporting him? Would you consider endorsing someone else next year?
We just learned that we've lost a seat in Congress. We don't even know what these boundaries look like. So there's a whole lot of speculation that's going to go on into this. I mean, I've had some private conversations that I'll keep private with Congressman Katko, but I've publicly stated I was very disappointed in his vote. I think he's done a lot of good work in Congress, but he's got to work with the structure of the party in his current configured district to, make sure that support's in place. So, I think there's a lot of question marks about the future of our entire congressional delegation from Long Island to Buffalo. So, we don't know if multiple members are put in the same district together. There's, Democrats are going to try to run roughshod over this process. This is a blue-leaning seat to begin with. I mean, it's not lost on me that John wins with a lot of crossover support. This district could get much bluer, you know, but you know, time will tell. And you know, I know some local officials have certainly made their opinions strongly known, but you know, I guess we're just going to continue talking.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks so much.